Hi, thanks for meeting with me today. We're going to discuss implementing the functional communication training with Jim. In the prior meetings, we discussed what functional communication training is, and we decided that was the right path for the classroom needs and Jim. We determined the goal for Jim would be to decrease property destruction and increase functional communication. And we decided a way to track the maladaptive behavior of property destruction and developed a behavioral definition together of property destruction and determined that we would track the frequency of the behavior. We determined the function of property destruction during the math worksheet was escape, and we chose the replacement behavior of prompting emotions such as I'm upset, I'm frustrated, and then prompting I need a break. So you received this packet last time of functional communication training as all the information you should need about implementing this in your classroom and the steps to developing an intervention for different types of needs. So you can refer to this. This can just be a reference for you. Also included in this is the functional communication training implementation checklist, which includes all the steps of the implementation with Jim that you should be implementing with Jim. So if you need to refer back to that, you can always look at that. You can also contact me at any time if you have any questions. So let's go ahead and talk about the implementation of the functional communication with Jim. So first, we're going to state to Jim, once the math worksheets are passed out, Jim, if you complete your worksheet, you get 2 minutes of iPad time. So we're going to make sure that we have motivation established for that iPad, as long as he's interested in having it. If he's not interested in that, we might have to reevaluate that at a different time. So then we're going to teach the use of the replacement communicative behavior using prompting. We're going to use a most to least prompt hierarchy. So you will see those precursors behaviors that we talked about, like him moaning or saying things like, I don't like this, math is no fun. And then before he engages in property destruction, you're going to prompt the functional communication. So you're going to tell him, Jim, you can say I'm upset. You can say I need a break. And then you're going to reinforce the replacement communicative behavior. So once he says those things, you're going to use behavior-specific praise. Jim, I love how you told me you needed a break. You can have a 1-minute break. Then you're going to flip that math paper over, provide him a 1-minute break with no access to reinforcement. So he should just be sitting at his desk, not looking through his desk or talking to peers. He should just be sitting until the 1-minute time is over. And then you'll also want to remove reinforcement for the interfering behaviors. So if he doesn't finish his math worksheet, he has to take it home at the end of the day and work on it at home and bring it in the next day, which is something he really doesn't like to do. So hopefully that will motivate him to complete the worksheet. Also, Mom has talked to us and discussed that she's on board, and we'll make sure that math worksheet is completed at home if he doesn't finish it during the school day. You can also remind him that he doesn't earn the iPad if he doesn't complete the math worksheet. So hopefully those two things are motivation to not allow him to escape doing his math worksheet. So you're not going to be reinforcing that behavior. And then you also want to support the learner's generalization of the replacement communicative behavior across people and settings. So if he states that he's frustrated or upset or asks for a break during a different subject, if he asks for it during reading or any other subject, you're going to want to reinforce those behaviors, and hopefully those will occur. So the implementation of the functional communication should look like you present the math worksheet. You state to Jim, if you finish your math worksheet, you can play on the iPad for 2 minutes. Then once you get started, if you see those precursor behaviors of groaning or saying things like he hates math, then you're going to want to go ahead and prompt the functional communication. So you'll say, Jim, you can say, I'm upset. He says, I'm upset. I need a break. he says, I need a break. And then you go ahead and say, okay, I like you told me, you give him specific praise. I like you told me you needed a break. You can have a 1 minute break and go ahead and flip his math worksheet over. He receives a break for 1 minute with no reinforcement from anything else. Once his timer's up, he can say, Jim, your break's over now. Go ahead and get started with your math worksheet. And then if he requires breaks in the rest of the math or at some other time during the math worksheet, you can go ahead and provide the same type of format for that. So do you have any questions over the implementation of the functional communication training with Jim at all?
I don't think so.
Why don't we go ahead and role play it really quick, just so if you have any questions or anything comes up, you can ask and I can kind of give you feedback if you have any of those questions. So I will be Jim and you can go ahead and pass out some math worksheets and we'll get started with the implementation.
All right, Jim, remember if you finish your work, you can have play time on the iPad for 2 minutes.
Okay. Oh, I don't like math. This is hard.
Jim, you can say, I'm upset.
I'm upset.
You can say, I need a break.
I need a break.
I like how you said I'm upset and that you need a break. You can have a 1 minute break.
So that's perfect. And then you'd let him have that 1 minute break and then prompt him to go ahead and get started with his work again. So you did great with that. So you stated that he could have reinforcement time on the iPad if he completed his worksheet. You prompted functional communication and you gave behavior specific praise for that communication that Jim stated I needed a break. You flipped over the paper and allowed access to that break for the appropriate amount of time. Do you have any questions over anything that we discussed? Okay. Well, thanks for meeting with me today. If you have any questions or concerns, feel free to contact me and we'll keep in touch.
Thanks.